At the height of his power, everyone bowed their heads when he entered the room. Money moved when he spoke. Fear followed when he stayed silent. But here's the truth no one tells you about a mafia boss: the more power he gains, the more alone he becomes. Because in his world, loyalty is temporary. Trust is dangerous, and betrayal is inevitable. Tonight, we're not telling the story of one man. We're entering the mindset of every mafia boss who ever ruled and fell. This is not glamour. This is psychology. This is reality. Old photos, shadows, empty chairs. Narrator: when people think of mafia bosses, they imagine suits, power, respect. But power doesn't start with money. It starts with control. Control of fear. Control of silence. Control of people. To understand the mafia boss, we must understand three forces that shape his mind: power, how it's built and maintained; paranoia, why trust slowly disappears; betrayal, how every empire eventually collapses. This video is a psychological breakdown based on historical cases, court records, and behavioral studies. No glorification, no instructions, only insight. Most mafia bosses don't begin as monsters. They begin with hunger. Not just hunger for money, but for status. In many documented cases, future bosses grew up in environments where respect was scarce, authority was abusive or absent, survival required toughness, power became safety. Psychologists call this compensatory dominance. The need to control others to feel secure. At first, power feels intoxicating. People listen. People obey. Problems disappear. But power comes with a hidden cost. Every decision now carries risk. Every conversation could be recorded. Every smile could be fake. And that's when the mind begins to change. Narrator: paranoia isn't a weakness in the mafia world. It's a survival mechanism. Bosses learn early that friends can flip, family can be pressured, silence can be broken. So paranoia becomes permanent. They test people constantly. They observe reactions. They reward loyalty, but never fully believe it. Even meals become stressful. In many historical testimonies, former insiders describe bosses who changed routines daily, spoke in half sentences, avoided phones, trusted only a shrinking inner circle. But here's the psychological trap: the more paranoid you become, the fewer people you trust. And the fewer people you trust, the more power concentrates around you. That concentration feels safe, until it becomes suffocating. Outwardly, many bosses appeared calm, confident, even generous. Privately, their lives were rigid, controlled, and isolated. Psychologists describe this as hypervigilant living, always watching, always calculating, never resting. Sleep becomes shallow. Laughter becomes rare. Joy becomes suspicious. And the boss begins to ask one question more than any other: who's next? Betrayal doesn't usually come from enemies. It comes from insiders. History shows a clear pattern: pressure increases, stakes rise. Loyalty cracks. Sometimes betrayal is driven by fear. Sometimes by greed. Sometimes by exhaustion. But once a boss suspects betrayal, the psychological damage is irreversible. Every conversation becomes a test. Every delay feels intentional. And eventually, the boss becomes trapped by his own system. A system built on fear. Cannot survive without it. Narrator: the downfall of a mafia boss is rarely dramatic. It's slow. A mistake. A witness. A recorded silence. And when it happens, something strange occurs. The same people who once feared him disappear. Power evaporates instantly. And what remains is not a king, but a man facing the consequences of his choices. Many former bosses have said the same thing in interviews. The loneliness was worse than the punishment. The mafia boss is not a symbol of success. He is a case study in how unchecked power destroys the mind. Power without trust creates paranoia. Paranoia destroys relationships. And betrayal ends everything. This is not a story to admire. It's a warning to understand. Microphone OUTRO. If you found this psychological breakdown insightful, subscribe for more deep dive true crime analysis that focuses on mindsets, consequences, and real history. Stay curious, stay informed, and remember, real power never comes from fear.